That is going. Yep.
Right. So welcome everyone to the Improving Local Authority Building Control Alpha Show and Tell. We are now recording, however, we will stop the recording for questions at the end. My name is Dawn Turner. I'm a researcher on the project. I'm also joined here by my colleagues, Tom, Shanique, Rianne and Martin. The agenda for today: we're going to give you a short update from the workshop we held last week. We're going to be talking about the prototyping and testing we've been doing, a short update on data standards, the work on some other building control processes that we've been mapping out, and then what is next. Okay, just a recap of our Alpha vision. So to explore, prototype and test solutions that demonstrate how building control can be improved to deliver a better user experience for customers and staff, improve the quality and usefulness of data, and to position local authorities as a service provider of choice. Okay, so firstly, an update from our workshop. So last Tuesday, we had a trip down to Keynsham to visit the Bath and North East Somerset Council offices. Big thank you to Kieran O'Neill for hosting us. But on this occasion, it was great to also welcome colleagues from Bristol and East Devon to join in the conversations. So during the session, we spent some time focusing on metrics, what we can measure, how we can measure, and what we can also measure quickly. For example, officer time, application time, feedback from customers. It's really important to start thinking about metrics during the alpha phase to create that baseline for tracking the success of the work we're doing. We also collectively worked through some prototypes that we've been working on, and got some feedback, and we started to think about site inspections as well. But we're going to be continuing that piece of work during an online workshop next week, the 1st of April. So if you'd like to join us for that, please do get in touch. Okay, I'm going to hand over now to Tom. No,
To Rianne.
To Rianne, to have a little walkthrough of our prototype.
Hi, yes, just bear with me while I share the coded prototype. Now, you'll have seen before prototypes that show how things should work. This is a version of the prototype that shows things actually working. So what I'm going to focus on today is not so much the look and feel of it, but the way that we've wired up the coded prototype so that it actually, so that you can start seeing the circular journey between the local authority staff and the end user, because this is now in a state where it's sending emails in the real world and it's sort of wired up to people's calendars and so on. So if I go now to, we'll focus on the case where perhaps somebody hasn't submitted all the documents that they perhaps should have submitted. So you've seen this screen before in the designed prototype. We now have a unified design for missing and submitted documents, where the documents can be checked on the page. I'm going to go to a completely new building application for this, because this is one where we have already requested a document. So I will go now to an application that I haven't touched before, that has just the standard documents that it's submitted with and nobody's done any work on. So as we've shown you before, the technical support or surveyor can upload a new document and also request a missing document. So in this case, let's just imagine that it's a building control application where we need more information about the foundations. So we could say something like, we need a foundation plan because it was missing from the bundle. And for example, we could have an applicant from who has this building building control alpha@gmail.com address. So that tells you that this has been sent successfully and a magic link has been emailed to the applicant. And obviously in the demos that you've seen before, we've mocked this up so that we're sort of pretending that an email's gone out. This actually shows the genuine email going out, and this alerts the person who's put in the application that they need to do something. So this then provides them with a magic link that they can click and go here, where they can see a whole lot of information and summary things about the application that they've put in. Dawn just mentioned inspections. We're going to look at the booking inspection journey in a minute, but first of all, let's go here and we can see that we need to do something about submitting documents because our foundation document was missing. So here we can see that the person has some information. I mean, the chances are that this could be a much longer message. I just didn't want to expose myself to having to type for any longer than I had to in a live situation because of getting all fumbly. But say here you could, the person could choose a document. I've got one ready that actually does have foundations. So they've chosen that, and I could say something like supplying but missing document and provide any more information that I needed to. So we'll upload that and we'll come back to later on to what the officer actually will see when they go back into the document. But first of all, let's have a look at what happens if they want to book different inspection visits. Now, obviously, we're aware that certain types of visit can't be booked until other visits have happened. So I think in later iterations, we'll introduce logic so that certain inspection types are grayed out until they can be booked. But for the sake of this demo, what we'll do is we will book a commencement site inspection. What we've done here is I've sort of set this to be a week ahead so that inspectors don't sort of get things dropped on them in the next couple of days. But obviously in the real world, this could be parameterized so that somebody could book tomorrow if they wanted, or they could book morning, or they could book afternoon. We might also do something like grouping nearby inspections together and clever things like that. But at the moment, it's quite a sort of blunt instrument. So it's basically offering up the next available appointments that haven't already been booked. And you'll see that it's not offering Friday the 3rd, because if we go here, we can see that Friday the 3rd has already been booked out. So it's not available in the inspector's calendar. So let's pretend that we want to choose the 10th of April for the inspection visit. And then it gives a confirmation screen here in case they want to go back and try a new date or whatever. And we can obviously make the assumption that perhaps there are multiple duty holders involved in this. It might not be the client, it could be someone else. For the moment, I've just got a couple of different versions here, but obviously we could have principal contractor, designer, whoever. And then the person confirms the booking. And they have the option to download an ICS file to add things to whatever calendar system they're using. But the cool thing about this is that now if I go to the inspector's calendar and I go ahead to the 10th of April, you can actually see that this has been booked and it blocks this time. Like I say, at the moment, we've just got a notional 10 o'clock appointment, but obviously this could be blocked out in chunks of time as we iterate on it. So also you'll see that if we go back to the email,
You're not sharing the camera.
am I not? sharing the, sorry,
You can
okay.
see the email.
See the inbox.
Okay.
I will go back to the calendar and share that. Sorry, I'm nipping around between multiple tabs here. You can see now that it's blocked out this time on the inspector's calendar. And if we went back to the other calendar, those would now be marked out in red as unavailable. We're showing a Google Calendar, but the way this has been coded, it would actually integrate with any type of operating system that your council is using. So now going back to the inbox, and I'll remember to share this tab, you will see now that the applicant has received the inspection booking, and it's included the portal link where they can go back and see all the application information in one place. And I'm aware that I've been talking for quite a long time, but I'm now going to go back to the local authority view, the back office view of this application, because if you remember, we submitted, we asked the client to submit an extra document. So, oops, if we go here back to submitted, am I still sharing?
You're not sharing at all. No.
Okay,
Presentation.
just let me share again. Yeah, if we go back to the back office prototype, we will see that this extra document here that I uploaded is now here, foundation, and this can be inspected and checked in the same way as the documents that were originally there. We can add references, we can add tags and so on. But the main reason for showing you this was just to demonstrate that we now have this two-way process between the client and the back office team, where people can request things, book inspections, change inspection dates, and so on. So we'll hope to show you further iterations of the coded prototype in future. I'm just going to stop sharing, go back to the slides, because I think I'm now going to so we just reiterating that we need people to test both this prototype and the other prototypes that Tom and Dawn have built. So we've got the calendar link here, which we'll also share in the chat. We always need people to share the prototypes. And if you wouldn't mind moving on, please, Dawn. And again, we really would like assistance with the data standards as well. So this is actually the slides that we shared in the last show and tell, so I won't dwell on it. We've been primarily working in the coded prototype during this sprint. However, for people who are on the call who weren't in the meeting facilitated by Jordan, please make time to have a look at that. We're continuing to have external conversations, and we're looking forward to speaking with BSR. If you know anyone, both in the public or the private sector, who would be interested in contributing to these conversations, please put them in touch with us. We'll be doing further work on data standards, and it's the input of the community that really makes this work and makes this so important. You move on, please, Tom. Right.
Great.
I'm just going to talk a little bit about some work that we've been doing, looking beyond the journeys that Rianne was showing. So Rianne was showing a prototype that we've been working on, for which we've been looking at the full plans application process and the full plans sort of check and service that's provided by local authorities. This is a sort of significant journey within local authority building control teams, but it's not the only thing that local authority building control teams do. There are sort of other types of customer-facing application, and there's also some services that local authorities provide for registered building control as approvers, and there's also some enforcement activities that they're responsible for. So one of the things that I've been looking at is mapping out these other journeys, so everything else that's happening in local authority building control teams, and trying to understand at a high level what the processes involve. So for each of these key journeys, we've highlighted high-level maps, and we've also started to look at what patterns there are. So when we talk about patterns, we mean things that happen multiple times across many different processes. So for example, fees being quoted, fees being paid, letters being sent out, information being requested, site inspections happening. These are activities that happen across lots of different services for building control. And when we're thinking about putting together a digital product, but also thinking about how these services operate, if we can make those consistent and have sort of standard ways of doing it, we can reduce the friction, increase the efficiency, and hopefully increase the sort of use of best practice across those services. So if we just to come back to a slide that we shared right at the start in our first show and tell, where we were talking about having a sort of a prototype for the full plan service across the front end and back end, but then we'd be creating these patterns that would cover all these other journeys. So those are things like the RBCA services, so initial notices, amendment notices, final notices, transfer, cancellation notices, and then all the other local authority services, so enforcement, Section 77, Section 78, etc. And so hopefully as we're coming towards the end of this alpha phase, we will have that, and we'll have a really good idea going forwards based on what we've built. Where are the bits that we can reuse, and where are bits that we can design, thinking about how these tasks will be carried out across the different sort of services that they apply to. So when we're charging a fee, how that will work across these multiple different services. So we do it in one way and it will be less maintenance and more clear and obvious for customers. And then also where we might need to add in bespoke or specific bits of process to deal with, you know, the peculiarity or the particularity of a particular service. And this will give us a really good idea of how far and how fast we can go in rolling out sort of other services beyond full planned applications. So finally, just to talk about what's next. We've got an online workshop coming up on the 1st of April. If you haven't been invited and you would like to be, do let us know. We're going to be talking about site inspections. We've obviously got our ongoing data standards work, further research and testing. We'll be doing some site inspections prototyping alongside, sort of building on that workshop and in support of that workshop as well. We've also got it on our to-do list to talk about land charges. We're aware of the sort of significance of land charges, as you know, making sure that the right data reaches the land charges team is kind of a key bit of enabling local authorities to use a service, any service that covers the built environment. And as we look forward to beta and potentially getting these services out in the wild to some degree, making sure that we can meet the needs of land charges is really important. We've got ongoing RBCA engagement, and we're hopefully we'll be able to tell you about plans for a workshop that's going to be open to RBCAs coming up. And then we will continue building out the code to prototype with a particular focus on the landing page and looking at how we manage requirements as well. So questions and suggestions, and then just also to remind you of when our next show and tell will be, which is the 8th of April, same time. So we're going to stop the recording and then we can take any questions that we have. For some reason, I can't actually stop it. Okay.